Long ago, there was a city named Sidon. This was a city of beauty and power, of wealth and tradition, where every corner spoke of the God's presence and every stone carried the weight of history. It was in this city that Jezebel was born, the daughter of King Ethbaal, a ruler both feared and respected. Unlike other children, Jezebel was not destined for a life of quiet luxury. From her earliest days, she was trained to think, to strategize, to command. While other girls learned embroidery or etiquette, she studied politics, alliances, and influence. She learned to see the hidden currents of power that ran beneath every palace, every council, every royal smile. Her father ruled Sidon with an iron hand, and from him, Jezebel inherited ambition, cunning, and an unyielding determination. She understood early on that titles and wealth alone did not make a ruler powerful. True power came from knowing people, knowing situations, and knowing how to bend both to her will. Her mind was sharp, her instincts even sharper. And in her heart, she knew that her destiny was bigger than Sidon itself. Even as a young woman, Jezebel refused to let tradition dictate her path. Marriage, she knew, would be a tool, not a chain. She would not be married off for convenience or duty. She would choose a partner, a king, a man whose crown she could use to extend her influence far beyond her homeland. Her ambitions were clear, and the first whispers of her destiny began to reach beyond Sidon's borders, to Israel. Israel was a kingdom divided, ruled by King Ahab, a man born into power but lacking the drive to hold it firmly. His kingdom was fragmented, his advisors weak, his people restless. To Jezebel, he was not a king to admire, but an opportunity, a tool she could use to extend her reach and shape an entire nation. When the marriage proposal arrived, Jezebel accepted without hesitation. She left behind Sidon, its familiar shores, its markets and temples, and embarked on a journey across the sea, as if destiny itself were guiding her ship. She was leaving home not for love, but for strategy. Israel was foreign, the customs strange, the gods different, but none of this mattered. Jezebel did not come to fit in. She came to rule. From the moment she arrived in Israel, Jezebel commanded attention. Her presence was regal, her beauty striking, but her true strength lay in her intellect and ambition. She quickly observed the weaknesses of Ahab's court, noting who wielded influence and who could be swayed. With careful moves, she placed loyalists in positions of power and silenced opposition. Within months, it became clear, Ahab might wear the crown, but Jezebel held the reins. Israel was no longer simply a kingdom, it was becoming her canvas, to shape in her image. She was a queen by title, but a ruler by design. Jezebel's ambitions went beyond politics. She had a vision for Israel, one that involved reshaping its very soul. She introduced the worship of Baal, her Phoenician god, the deity of fertility, storms, and prosperity. Altars were built, statues erected, and priests loyal to Yahweh were silenced or removed. Israel's spiritual landscape was transformed under her guidance, and Baal's influence spread across the kingdom. Her power grew daily, but so did opposition. Among those who resisted her rule were prophets of Yahweh, men who remained faithful to the old ways. The most prominent among them was Elijah, a prophet courageous, steadfast, and fearless. Elijah did not bend before Jezebel or her gods, and to her, he became a symbol of defiance she could not tolerate. Jezebel's reaction was swift and furious. She threatened Elijah, promising his death, but Elijah, guided and sustained by God, escaped into the wilderness. Even in exile, he was not defeated. He received sustenance and guidance, and soon returned to challenge Jezebel and her prophets in a dramatic confrontation that would determine the kingdom's fate. The contest on Mount Carmel was unforgettable. Elijah proposed a test to show whose God truly held power. 450 prophets of Baal called out for fire, danced and prayed, but nothing came. Then Elijah prayed to Yahweh, and fire rained from heaven, consuming not only the offering but the wood and the water around it. The people fell to their knees in awe, witnessing undeniable proof of the one true God. Yet Jezebel's pride and fury were not quelled. Humiliated but unbowed, she remained determined to assert her control, to keep Israel under her influence, and to crush anyone who dared oppose her. Jezebel ruled Israel with unmatched authority. She manipulated, intimidated, and enforced her will with precision. The people both feared and revered her. The temples of Yahweh were replaced with altars to Baal. Rituals, sacrifices, and festivals in his honor became common. Jezebel's reign was a display of power and ambition, yet every action planted seeds of her eventual downfall. But the kingdom could not ignore the voices of those loyal to Yahweh. Prophets and loyalists continued to oppose her, and in time, a new force arose. Jehu, a soldier in Ahab's army, would become the instrument of prophecy and judgment. The signs were clear: no empire, no matter how powerful, lasts forever. When Jehu's army advanced on Jezreel, Jezebel's confidence remained unshaken. She adorned herself in her finest robes, applied her royal makeup, and prepared to face the approaching army. She would not cower. She would die as a queen, defiant, proud, and untamed. But Jehu had come to end her reign. She was thrown from her palace window, her body desecrated as the prophecy had foretold. The power that had once seemed unstoppable vanished in an instant. Israel, once dominated by fear and idolatry, was free to return to its faith. Jezebel's story is more than the tale of a queen. It is a lesson in ambition, pride, and the consequences of unchecked power. She was intelligent, ambitious, and brave. But her cruelty, manipulation, and disregard for morality led to her downfall. Her life reminds us that influence and authority can only last as long as they are tempered by integrity and respect. Power used to dominate, intimidate, or force others into submission will eventually be overturned. Her reign left scars, yes, but her fall allowed for renewal, restoration, and a return to what was just and true. For all of us, Jezebel's story is a mirror. It asks, how do we wield the influence we have? Do we use it to inspire, guide, and protect? Or do we allow ambition and pride to cloud our judgment, leaving destruction in our wake? Her life teaches us that choices rooted in fear, cruelty, or arrogance carry inevitable consequences, but choices guided by wisdom, empathy, and humility can leave a lasting, positive legacy. In the end, Jezebel was more than a queen. She was a force of nature, a cautionary tale, and a reminder that power without integrity is fleeting, but the right choices can shape a future that lasts beyond our own lifetime. Her story echoes across time, warning and teaching, reminding us all of the true measure of leadership. Thank you for watching this story of power, ambition, and the lessons that history teaches us. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories from history, and remember, the choices we make today shape the world we leave behind tomorrow.